Welcome back. I'm your host TJ, and this is TJ's Sci-Fi Quest. I put out a questionnaire on Twitter, and even though I did ask a few questions about science fiction, what came up as something that most people wanted was a comparison between traditional published and independent published authors and books. It's a fascinating subject, of course, if you're a writer. If you're not a writer, I'm not so sure you'd be thrilled about it. But we started talking about NaNoWriMo here, so let's go with the writer side of it. I'm going to go over 5 points today, neither good nor bad. Okay, here we're not talking, this is something really good, this is something really bad. It's just the way it works. When you go the traditional versus the independent publishing route, you will come up to some things that are absolutely different. And yes, I am using a laptop to help me out on this one. Okay, so the first thing, of course, is access. For a traditional publishing situation, you really should get, like I said, I do have a laptop. You really should get an agent. An agent is necessary because you're going to have to negotiate a lot of things. You're going to sign a contract, and that's not something you should take lightly. Signing a contract means a lot of things are going to be out of your control. A lot of things are not going to depend on you anymore. You will lose a lot of things, although you are gaining something, of course. You're gaining an advance, number one, which is important, because that means you're going to get money right away. And then you're going to get the rest of the money that they are buying your work for. Even before any books sell. But then, once the books start selling, you will not see any money until they've recouped your advance. And then you start getting royalties and so on and so forth. Therefore, you need an agent. So that's one of the main differences. Looking at it from another point of view, one of the differences, and it's very important, is access. Since traditional publishing means that you have to get an agent, you have to send your work out, it has to get looked at, and they're not going to look at it whether it's a good book or a bad book or, wow, what a great story. This is the next Harry Potter, this is the next Star Wars. That's not what they're going to look at. They're going to look at, will this sell? Will this sell well? And will this sell quickly with the minimum amount of effort on the part of the editorial, on the part of the publisher? That's what they're looking for. So they'll listen to your elevator pitch, which is supposed to be a 15-word description of your work. I know, right? And then they're going to ask for a synopsis. And then they're going to ask, synopsis is the whole thing in a page, between 1 and 3 pages. The whole thing from beginning of your book to the end of your book, including the ending, including all the spoilers, but in 1 to 3 pages. And then after that, they'll say, okay, let me see a chapter or 2. Usually, very few authors get to that part, get to the, okay, send me a few chapters. Most of the authors get bounced right off the get-go. The synopsis is not interesting or whatever. So have I experienced it? Yes, as a matter of fact, I have. And it's extremely frustrating. There's an author I respect a lot that says, treasure your rejections because you're going to get a lot of them. But every one that you gets you closer to being accepted. So traditional publishing is very tough to break through. What happens in independent publishing or indie publishing? You can do it tomorrow, tonight. All you have to do is set up an account in KDP, Kindle Digital Publishing, or Smashwords, or both. Ideally both. That's my opinion, but ideally both. You're done. You set up your account, you upload your work in the accepted format that they ask, and you're done. You've just published your book. We're talking, you can put it in the morning, and at night you can already have it. You can have the electronic book up and running. Your printed book might take a little bit longer, but it's a matter of days rather than months or years before it gets out. So independent publishing is a lot quicker, and everybody has access to it. I'm going that route. I'm going to be an independently published author. Why haven't I done it? Very good question. You're very perceptive. There's several reasons, some legal ones. In terms of my situation right now, I have to be very careful about how I get money and that kind of stuff. I have to wait a little bit, and then eventually I'll be able to just work like a regular Joe. But there's another side of it. And the other side of it is another huge difference between traditionally published and independently published. Marketing and promotion. Marketing and promotion is something that you as an author are going to have to do. I mean, even if you go the traditional route, the publisher has all these connections and they have a huge marketing machine and all of this. That's fantastic, except that they may not use it on your particular case because you're an untested resource. They don't know if your book is going to sell. They're going to do the least amount possible and still ensure that it sells. I mean, they do want to get back the money they invested in your advance, but and they want to make money off your book. But let's say that your book is a slow starter. It starts slow. Once word of mouth catches on, it starts going real quick. But if that word of mouth takes over 2 months, and there's another book that was good right off the gate, they'll invest more marketing money on that book, which they feel is making them money right now, than in yours. Long story short, marketing a lot of it falls on you. That's my situation right now. I'm learning. I'm trying to build a Twitter base. I'm trying to build a Facebook base. I'm trying to build a YouTube base so that I can promote my book successfully. You can have the best promotional setup. You can have a fantastic program. You can have the best marketing plan and you throw it out and nobody listens to it or nobody hears it, you're done. It doesn't matter how good it is. People will not hear it. You have to be able to catch people's ear and get them interested. They have to be interested in you as a person. So you need a web page. You need, like I said, a following on Twitter, a following on Facebook, a following on YouTube, a following on Instagram, any of the many social media. But you do have to have a following there in order for you to be able to make a splash when you finally get your book up and running. So those are two very basic but very important differences between independent and traditional publishing. I'm going to go a little bit more on it on the next installment. So that's going to be next week. So, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And as always, if you like the t-shirt, they're in my TeePublic and Redbubble stores. So I hope to see you soon and keep questing.